Netanyahu heads to the US to meet with President Barack Obama. The ultra-Orthodox hold a huge demonstration in Jerusalem against the draft bill. Jerusalem Post speaks to former Prime Minister Olmert about Israeli-US relations, and Kenyan athletes win this year's Tel Aviv Marathon. Shalom, welcome to the Jerusalem Post News. Our top stories for Sunday, March 2nd. Prime Minister Netanyahu travelled to the US today, where he'll meet with US President Barack Obama on Monday to discuss Iran and the Israel-Palestinian peace talks, even as Washington is now focused on the crisis in Ukraine. Neither Netanyahu nor the Foreign Ministry have made a statement regarding the concerning developments in Ukraine, although the situation facing Ukrainian Jews has been raised in high-level meetings. The Prime Minister is also expected to meet US Secretary of State John Kerry and with congressional leaders. And he's set to address the annual American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, policy conference on Tuesday. Kerry is expected to visit Israel again in mid-March, while Israel is scheduled to release the last group of Palestinian security prisoners in 4 weeks' time as part of its commitments in the current peace process. Tens of thousands of ultra-Orthodox men, women and children, including from all of the major Haredi groups and political movements, were expected to take part in a mass prayer rally in the capital this afternoon in protest of the government's legislation to conscript Haredi men into national service. Jerusalem began shutting down main roads this afternoon in anticipation of the masses expected from around the country. While no leading rabbis nor Haredi politicians were set to address the rally, prayers were expected to be recited by the protesters, including a special one from the biblical account of when 600,000 Israelites gathered at Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. Former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert talked exclusively to the Jerusalem Post last week about Israeli-US relations, his support of US Secretary of State John Kerry's efforts, and his belief that America and the international community are and will continue to do everything in their power to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon.
Confident that the Obama administration will succeed in taking the steps necessary to prevent the nuclearization of Iran?
Look, first of all, there is an agreement. An interim agreement for the time being, a provisional agreement, but there is an agreement. And it appears at this point, according to the reports that we get, including from the inspectors of the IAEA representing the big powers, that there is some kind of a change. The fact is that the Iranians don't possess and don't have control of the amount of uranium needed in order to create a bomb, and that they have lowered the enrichment to the maximum of 3%, which is, of course, far, far, far different from what they did in the past. The fact that the Prime Minister doesn't now talk anymore about specific dates and specific deadlines and so on and so forth, at least proves that he is giving a chance to the American efforts and the international community efforts.
And Ehud Olmert will be speaking at the Jerusalem Post conference in New York on April 6th. And you can watch the full interview with him on jpost.com. Tel Aviv was in lockdown for half a day on Friday for its annual marathon, which saw a whopping 40,000 people participating. Ezekiel Koech of Kenya won the race in a course record time of 2 hours 14 minutes, and Margaret Mujugna, also from Kenya, was the winner on the women's side, clocking in at 2 hours 44 minutes. In addition to the full marathon, a half marathon, a 10-kilometer run, a kids run and a race for disabled athletes took place. One runner was hospitalized in serious condition from heat exhaustion, while medical personnel treated around 85 others for minor to moderate ailments. In last year's marathon, which took place on a day of unseasonably hot, humid weather, a 29-year-old man died and dozens more were hospitalized with heat stroke and dehydration. That's it. We're back tomorrow with more main headlines. Until then, shalom from the Jerusalem Post studio.